Welcome to our presentation. My name is Nao, and they are my partners, Saki and Rikako. Today, we are going to talk about diversity in Japan. Before we start the presentation, we have one question for you. Do you think Japan is a diverse country? Thank you. Yeah. Many people might say no because Japan is a tiny country. However, we believe there is a lot of variety in the country. So today, we are going to focus on diversity through people, local specialties, and influence from overseas. First, Saki is going to talk about people in Japan.
Hello everyone, my name is Saki. Today I'd like to talk about diverse people of Japan. You may not know a little about Japan, so first I'll introduce basic information of Japan, and then I'll focus two tribes. There is Ryukyu and Ainu. Through my presentation, you will come to realize Japan has diverse people. So please enjoy my presentation. So let's focus on first topic. Japanese area has about 145,000 square miles. This size is almost same as California area. Surprisingly, 127.3 million people are living in this small area. Can you believe it? And Japan has 47 prefectures. Prefecture is like state. The average area of prefecture is almost same Connecticut. So let's focus on Japanese tribe. First, I'll introduce Ryukyu. Ryukyu is native people of Japan, and they live in Okinawa Prefecture. Okinawa Prefecture is here, but actually Okinawa is here. Sorry. In the past, people called Okinawa Ryukyu Kingdom because they had own kingdom between 1429 and 1879. So from now, I'll introduce their history. In 1609, Satsuma Han came to Ryukyu. Satsuma Han was one of group in Japan, and they lived in Kagoshima Prefecture. Kagoshima Prefecture is here, so near to Ryukyu. Satsuma Han unified people this Kagoshima Prefecture. So in 1609, Satsuma Han came to Ryukyu, and then they ordered Ryukyu surrender the Shiri Castle. Shiri Castle is this. Of course, Ryukyu people reject these things. Ryukyu people fought with Satsuma Han, but finally, Ryukyu lost to Satsuma Han. So, Ryukyu was subject to Satsuma Han. However, 1879, Ryukyu kingdom finished because Japanese government ordered these things about no more kingdom. So from this time, Ryukyu kingdom changed to Okinawa and included in part of Japan officially. So now you know one tribe. So let's focus on another tribe. It is Ainu. Oh, sorry, I had a mistake. From now, I'll introduce their music instrument. This is Sanshin. Please listen carefully. This is Sanshin melody. This Sanshin has 3 strings and origin is Chinese sangen. this something was expensive, so only aristocrats could have this something. This something was used for important ceremony. So now you know one tribe. From now, I'll introduce another tribe. It is Ainu. Ainu also named people of Japan, and they lived in Hokkaido Prefecture. Hokkaido Prefecture is northern island. They called their island Ain Mosha. It means I'm homeland. Ain means human in their language. So from now, let's focus their history. In early 15th century, Japanese people start settling in southern Hokkaido. First, their relationship was good because they traded and lived peacefully each other. However, as more Japanese people moved in Hokkaido, a new immigrant took over the island. So, Ainu people was angry. Ainu fought with Japanese people to protect their island. But finally, Ainu lost to Japan. Japan controlled Ainu until after World War II. After World War II, Ainu people could get all rights. From now, I introduce their unique culture. The Ainu woman painted tattoo on their arm, face, and hand started at 12 years old. This tattoo usually completed at 16 years old. After completing tattoo, they could get married. And their marriage method is also unique. A man visits a woman's house who is interested by him. A woman gives him a bowl of cooked rice, and then he eats half of it, and then he returns her the bowl. If she eats all of it, it means she accepts his proposal. Yeah, it's unique. As you can see, both of tribes has unique culture. The Ryukyu and Ainu people contribute Japanese diversity. So next, Rikako will introduce specialties. Oh, thank you for listening.
You should sit. Okay, Saki, thank you for sharing your interesting topic. And hello, my name is Rikako, and thank you for coming to my presentation. First, I have a question for you. What do you imagine when you are asked, what is Japan's specialty? There are a lot of answers. So in my presentation, I'd like to introduce food and tell several ways to promote prefecture by using specialties. So please enjoy my presentation. So let's start by looking at local food. This map shows 47 kinds of specialty in Japan, and each prefecture has their special food products. So do you know the reason why there are so many kinds in Japan? The reason is the geography. Japan stretches north to south, is encircled by the sea, and there are enormous forests. Therefore, the climate is different each prefecture. So this difference makes food diverse. So now, I'd like to introduce some examples of it. Seafood is famous in Hokkaido, which is located northern part of Japan. The seawater's temperature is very low, so fish can store much fat on their body. Also, there is an ocean current, so fish can get nutritious plankton. Therefore, the seafood is famous in Hokkaido. So let's move on to the next slide. Tropical fruits is Okinawa's specialty, which is located southern part of Japan. And temperature is very high, and soil is rich. Also, the day length is the longest in Japan, so fruits can absorb lots of sunlight. So the fruit's taste is really sweet. So in this way, the climate affects food diverse. And as I said, each prefecture has specialty, and it affects culinary too. To give an example, Zoni, which is New Year's Day's special meal, has a lot of variety. 400 years ago, people offered it to God to pray good harvest. So they put their special food product as an ingredient to express their appreciation. And this map shows how Zoni is different each region. The seasoning, rice cracker shape, and cookery are different. So, for example, the east part of Japan, people use square rice cake and use soy sauce to season. But on the other hand, the west part of Japan, people use round rice cake and miso to season. So let me introduce some examples. In Hokkaido, as I said, Hokkaido is famous for seafood, so they put it as an ingredient. Also, they use square rice cake and use soy sauce to season. But in Osaka, which is located middle part of Japan, people use round rice cake and miso to taste. So next, I would like to talk about promoting local specialties. Some prefectures are suffering from shortage of money or population, so they want to promote their prefectures. Using specialty is a very good way to advertise prefecture, so I'd like to share 2 examples of it. So first, we have a food festival, which name is B1 Grand Prix. The letter B stands for brand food, so they use their special food products for this festival. But their purpose is not selling food. They want people to know their prefecture by the food. So why did the Grand Prix started? In Aomori Prefecture, which is located north part of Japan, people were suffering from shortage of population. So they decided to hold food festival and use their specialty. In Aomori Prefecture, it's famous for senbei jiru. It's similar to cracker soup. So they sold it. Then they could succeed. So now in Japan, every year we have this food festival in every prefecture. So let's move on to the next slide. So using local mascot character is also a good way to promote prefecture. And we have Yurukara, which is similar to mascot character. And they represent history, culture, or specialty in each prefecture. And most of them are made by ordinary people, so their looks is little simple or little odd. But actually, their amateurist concept is their sales point. So I'd like to show one example of Yurukara. This is Funashi, which is the most famous Yurukara in Japan. Funashi is Chiba's mascot character, so he looks like a pear, which is Chiba's specialty. And Funashi visits many events in each prefecture, and Funashi appears in many TV programs. So Funashi became really famous in Japan. So many companies decided to make products such as stuffed doll or towel, and in some, he made $8 billion. So Funashi brought big effect to Chiba. So in conclusion, we have a lot of specialty like food, and people try to use it to promote their prefecture, and they are supporting Japan's now. Thank you for listening. So next, now we'll talk about outside influences.
Thank you, Rikako, for your fascinating presentation. I really like that. So hello again, I am Nao, and my topic is outside influences. Today, I would like to focus on food, fashion, and household items in Japan. So let's start with food. First, let me introduce traditional Japanese food, rice and fish. Japanese people started to eat rice about 2,300 years ago because people from Korean Peninsula brought rice to Japan. And the Japanese climate matched to growing rice, and Japanese people ate rice. Do you know the reason why Japanese people ate fish? The reason is quite simple. As Rikako mentioned, Japan is an island country and it is surrounded by the ocean, and Japanese people could find fish everywhere. In addition to that, Japanese people were not allowed to eat meat because of religious reasons. From those reasons, Japanese people ate rice and fish. Now, Japanese people eat a lot of food from overseas because of globalization. Actually, 80% of corn is coming from the US, and each year, Japan spends more than $50 billion to import food products. Don't you think that's a lot? And because of globalization, in only Tokyo, we can find more than 80 countries' food, such as Italian food, Korean food, and Malaysian food. So if you want to eat foreign food, please come to Tokyo and go to a restaurant. Let's move on to the next topic, diversity of fashion. First, I will introduce traditional clothes, kimono. Kimono has some advantages and disadvantages. Kimono matches to Japanese climate, and it is warmer than Western clothes, and it gives us good posture. However, kimono is hard to move, and it looks not form-fitting, and it is expensive. Sometimes kimono costs more than $1,000. Globalization happened in 1854 because Japan opened the country to the world and they began border. I'm sorry. And since then, Western clothes are coming into Japan, and this makes Japanese clothes diverse. Let's move on to fashion influence on fashion. Japanese people are influenced by many people in the world, and many Japanese people imitate foreigners. For example, the Beatles, who is a famous band in UK, became very famous in Japan in 1960s. Many Japanese people copied their hairstyle called mop top hair. And another example is Tsugi. Tsugi is a famous model from UK, and she came to Japan in 1967. She wore miniskirt. Because of Tsugi, Japanese women started to wear miniskirt. Finally, I will talk about household items in Japan. One item is tatami. Tatami is straw mat, and we can't wear shoes or slippers on tatami. It produced in late 8th century, and when it's new, it has sweet grassy smell. So many Japanese people like the smell of tatami. Unfortunately, many Japanese people now use wood flooring mainly. However, normal Japanese houses have at least one tatami room to keep keep it as a reminder of the ancient ways for special occasions or treasures. And all three of us have tatami in our houses. Let me give you one more example. This is kotatsu. Kotatsu is a table with an electric heater and blanket. This is produced during Middle Ages. People used coal in the past. Now people use electric heater. However, space heater is getting common like in other countries. However, kotatsu is still loved by many Japanese people, so there are some kotatsu restaurants in Japan. So if you want to use or experience kotatsu, please come to Japan and go to kotatsu restaurant. As a result, food, fashion, and household items are always changing due to outside influences, and they make Japan diverse. Thank you for listening.
In conclusion, Japan is a diversified country because of native people, local specialty, and outside influence. So even though Japan is a tiny country, there's a lot of varieties in Japan. So we hope you could find some interesting fact of Japan, and please come to Japan to experience it. Thank you for listening.